What's up everyone, welcome to Workshop Rebuild. In today's episode, I'll share with you guys what I did on the John Deere 300 and I'll share with you guys how it runs and drives, so stick around. In the last episode on the John Deere 300, I gave you guys the first startup of this garden tractor. Back then, I only had the engine installed and all the wiring hooked up so I can start it for the first time. But in today's video, I have a whole bunch more assembled on the John Deere 300, so it'll allow me to run and drive this machine for the first time. The John Deere 300 looks currently just like this. The front grille, the front hood assembly, and the hood are all off the machine. The 16 horsepower Kohler engine is in place, wired up, and ready to run. I'd like to repaint the rims, so once everything is assembled on the top end, the rims will pop out. The battery, instrumental panel, and dash are all in place. Everything is bolted down to the frame. Everything seems to work on the wiring. The rear fender is in place. The grip tape was placed on the footsteps as well, so you guys can hit the card up above. I made a video on this on the John Deere 317, and you guys will find a link down below in that video where to purchase this grip tape. I have a board as a seat for today. I do not have a seat for this machine yet, but I will purchase one very soon. The rear tail lights have to be glued back on. They broke off around the perimeter of the tail light holder. The fuel tank cap will be replaced. The seat switch has been bridged, so I don't have to be sitting on the seat to start this machine. The dash panel has been finished to this custom look right here. This was painted with an oil-based pen, just the outline of all the symbols and meanings. I added an hour meter right there, so that works as well. Everything is wired up. Everything is in place, so the only thing I have to do basically is start this machine up and share with you guys how it runs and drives. If you guys want to know something about the John Deere 300 or John Deere 317, please leave a comment down below. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And if you guys want me to do a specific video on something, you guys can write that down below in the comments and I'll do my best to cover that in a future video. If you're already at it, please hit that like button down below. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. And let's get to the first startup and drive. I'm back after the first test run and drive on the John Deere 300. I did notice a slight rattle to the engine. I don't know if you guys heard that on camera, but I will share with you guys what I noticed on the engine. On the engine, there's nothing really rattling. I came off to this side because there's a whole bunch of stuff mounted onto the engine, the voltage regulator, the engine coil, the condenser, everything here could rattle, but everything seemed to be tight. I noticed that I had the ground from the engine to the subframe mounted on this bolt right here. I took it off and I just noticed this engine vibrates a little bit more than the KT17. So I had a look and it sure was this that was giving a little rattle to the engine. And this just was too long, so it protruded all the way down like that. There's not much space right there. But if you guys can see, there's a little damage on the frame. And that was enough to just shake the engine. And every time it shook back and forth, it touched the frame right there. So you guys can rest assured there was nothing internally rattling on the engine. I'm sure that there's nothing rattling internally on the engine. It was just that bolt that was touching the frame when the engine was rocking back and forth. The other thing I noticed over here on the forward and reverse is that when I keep the lever in neutral, the tractor itself wants to move slowly backwards. So what I'd have to do is come down here on the bottom end, and I don't know if you guys can see this. I'm gonna lay down right here. The oil filter is right here, and there is an adjustment right back here. So I'd have to adjust this, and that will give me that will allow me to keep the tractor neutral, and the tractor will also stay neutral. So what happens here is the hydrostatic motor thinks the tractor, it wants to move forward because the lever is a little bit too long. So when I bring that together, it should stay in the neutral position. Another thing I did last minute was to clean and prime the battery tray and the heat shield, which is in between the engine and the battery. The battery tray is primed gray, and I will take that out once more and paint it black. Everything seems to fit over there, but the heat shield is from my parts 317, and it seems to be a little bit different. So the 317 instrumental panel stops somewhere right here, goes straight up or is cut off on this height. This heat shield is then placed vertically straight up. On the 300, as you guys can see, it goes off onto a taper and almost stops at a point. So I believe the heat shield from the 300 would have to be on an angle and then go straight up. I'm not sure if they are the same. I'd have to look, or else I will modify this one or find one that suits the 300.